And welcome to today's live reading of Kiss a Thief by Marina Hanna, and this is presented by Itsy Bitsy Book Bits. Chapter 1, Mia. I admit that deep down I'm a romantic at heart, but after all the bad luck I've had in the romance department, even I'm beginning to struggle with the notion of a one true love, soulmates, monogamy, the one. There isn't one person who can tick every box and be all things, is there? What I've come to realize from one crappy boyfriend after another is that there is no such thing. That's the conclusion I'm coming to. That's the truth of the matter. The fact that I'll be celebrating my 27th year in a few months and I'm still single means one of two things. Either I have the shittiest luck, or I'm never in the right place at the right time. Let's be frank. No need to sugarcoat things. I'm always in the wrong place at the wrong time. Either way, when it comes to matters of the heart, it does not bode well for me. Generally, the format tends to always be the same. When you meet, you can't get enough of each other. In the first couple of months, you're lusting after each other. You can't wait to rip each other's clothes off. You're powerless to resist. You're so desperate to satisfy the stirring in your loins that you'll gladly do it anywhere and everywhere to reach the plateau of satisfaction. The kitchen countertop is ideal, preferably on a smooth granite worktop. If the surface is wooden, beware the hazard of splinters. The shower is always a good one. Get dirty and clean all in one go. Bending over the sofa so he can take you from behind is another. A not so favorite is the floor. Carpet burns. They sting like hell. All in all, no room is off limits. Then, when the sex fizzles out, you realize you have nothing in common, and sometimes you don't particularly like that person. So the cycle begins again. Same routine, different guy. I'll admit it's not all doom and gloom. I've had one or two decent boyfriends, but no one I'd want to hitch my vagina to permanently. But since my last relationship took things into another stratosphere where disasters are concerned, my thoughts and feelings are a jumble of confusion and questions. So the question remains, are we really supposed to know as soon as we meet the one? There's apparently something called love at first sight, instant chemistry. We're supposed to be inexplicably drawn to someone based on a tingling feeling we get deep down inside. Honestly, hand on heart, it's never happened to me. In all my 26 years on planet Earth, I can categorically say that I've never met the one. Of course, it could all be a myth, something conjured up by Hallmark. As conspiracy theories go, it's right up there with the moon landings. There are those who swear man never walked on the moon, and there are those who believed unequivocally they did. There are also those who swear that they knew as soon as they met their significant other that they were going to marry them. And there are others who believe love at first sight isn't possible, that falling in love takes time. I don't have any foolproof evidence to refute either of those claims. Let's just say I'm skeptical. What has me thinking about all things love related? I'm admiring the collection of artworks I've curated for the Hampton Gallery, which is where I work. It's a group exhibit. All the works are by up-and-coming artists and include both paintings and sculptures. The theme is love and romance, hence my musings. The exhibition opens in approximately 10 minutes for a 2-week run. I take a final look around to ensure everything is as it should be. The servers are presentably dressed in white button-up shirts and ties, black waistcoats, black dress pants or skirts, and are ready to greet the guests with champagne as they come through the door. Mia, you've done an excellent job. I'm pleased with the results, Charles Hampton, my boss, says when he approaches me. Praise from Charles Hampton. That's a rarity. Thank you. I'm extremely excited. You're looking exceptionally lovely tonight. Let's just hope you can charm some of our patrons into buying. The obligatory compliment followed by a subtle dig, like it's my fault if people don't put their hands in their wallets or Swarovski-encrusted clutch bags. I smooth my hand over my auburn hair, which I had blow-dried at the salon yesterday. I'm wearing a black satin dress with a sheer top and sleeves that cling to my body. I've teamed it with my black Michael Kors stiletto sandals. They both cost a small fortune, which I charged to my already stretched to its limits credit card on the assumption that tonight will be a resounding success and result in a very much needed bonus for me. These are beautiful works of art. I don't think much of a sales pitch is needed. But yes, of course, I'll do my best, as always. Yes, well, if you want a generous bonus, I suggest you step up to the plate. He always has to have the last word. He turns on his heels and heads towards the entrance to greet guests as they begin to arrive. Whilst I love my job, Charles is a Jekyll and Hyde character. He's made lesser men cry. I was on the verge of walking out only last week when he blamed me for late shipments to clients. I explained to him matter-of-factly that once the items leave our gallery, he interrupted to remind me it's his gallery, the logistics are not my responsibility. Take it up with the shipping company. Plus, the salary isn't great, certainly not great enough to put up with his crap. After I've paid my monthly rent and utilities, I'm not left with very much at all. I'm biding my time until I can get a job at the museum. Then, after a few years honing my skills there, maybe one day I'll have a gallery of my own. That's the ultimate dream. We all need a dream to aspire to. In the meantime, reality keeps me grounded. When money is really tight, I pick up a few shifts here and there at the bar where my friend Emma works. It isn't so bad. It's like socializing while you work. Besides, the tips are surprisingly good. Patrons are coming through the door thick and fast now, and the gallery is starting to come to life. I grab a glass of champagne from a passing server and begin to mingle. As I join conversations, I nod politely. I laugh when necessary. I introduce artists to guests and vice versa. I silently curse when I notice Charles rudely cut off the woman he's talking to and advance towards the door to greet the latest arrival, whom he no doubt deems more important and worthy of his time. As I glance around me, I once again take in the vibrant paintings that adorn the walls. A feeling of pride takes over at how incredibly talented these artists are. Their works capture every essence of what love is, even for a skeptic like me. It's like finally having the haze lifted and your eyes open to romance and all its possibilities. It's then that I spot a broad-shouldered figure admiring my favorite piece. It's a 3-foot bronze sculpture that's been placed on a wide plinth, bringing it to eye level. From behind, I notice how his perfectly fitting navy suit accentuates the rich contours of his shoulders. His posture is perfect, standing tall and straight. He has one hand in his trouser pocket while he sips the champagne held with his other. I walk casually towards him and stand beside him as he continues to look straight ahead. I do the same, remaining silent while he appreciates the piece. We stand in silence for a few seconds, both of us admiring the sculpture that sits proudly on the plinth before us. Such as his concentration, I'm not sure whether he realizes I'm standing there, but then his deep, smooth voice has me turning my head to look at him. "This is a beautiful piece," he says as he continues to stare ahead. It's as though the air around me is electrified. My heart seems to be beating faster with my immediate attraction to him. I admire the clear-cut lines of his profile as he turns to momentarily look at me. I almost get lost in the pool of his green eyes that frame his handsome face. We both turn back to gaze upon the sculpture. It's my personal favorite, but don't tell anyone I said that. I'm supposed to be impartial, like a mother not having a favorite child. As we turn towards each other again, it's then that I'm captivated by his firm, sensual lips as he gives me a smile that sends my pulse racing. I can't help looking into his warm green eyes as they flicker with interest. I notice one brow arch questioningly. "What is it that you love about this piece?" It's the way their lips are almost but not quite touching, how the curves of their naked bodies are molded together, how his fingers sensuously stroke her arm. It's tantalizing us with the possibility that love is obtainable within our reach. He's listening attentively. It's only once I've finished that I realize his body has moved slightly closer, and I notice him openly studying me. I would go as far as to say it's not the only beautiful thing in the room this evening. Let me just say that line is not new, but the way he delivers it makes me feel warm glow flow through me, and I relish the sense of pleasure I get, knowing that he finds me attractive, because he's hot, scorching hot, and I can hear the voice in my head saying repeatedly, "You want him." I try not to react, but I know I failed as I flash a smile of thanks to him, flattered by his compliment. As he studies my reaction, his handsome, chiseled face has touches of humor around the mouth and eyes. He's so damn good looking. His almost black hair is a crew cut. His square jawline is strong. He has a ruggedness about him that attracts me. He's at least 6 feet tall. I don't fail to notice his powerful set of shoulders and his athletic physique. He carries himself with a commanding air of self-confidence. I suspect his bespoke suit isn't charged to his almost at its limit credit card. This guy is so out of my league. I do my utmost to hide my excitement at his admiration. There are some fine pieces here. It's all subjective. Would you like me to introduce you to the artist of this particular piece? No, I'd much rather you introduce yourself to me. I feel my face redden at my lack of manners. Oh, I'm so sorry. How rude of me. I get carried away when it comes to talking about art. There's a smirk on his lips as he extends his hand. I'm Dylan Knight. When I take his offered hand, I feel a warmth in the personal contact as his masculine hand closes around mine. As I expected for an obviously successful man like him, his hold is firm. It becomes gentle as his thumb makes circular motions on the back of my hand. My gaze lingers on his face, taking in his handsomeness, the fullness of his lips, the humorous expression in his green eyes as I hold on to his hand a little longer than usual. I release my hold as soon as I become aware, but I can't seem to pry my eyes from his. Lovely to meet you. I'm Mia Harris, the curator. I'll have to remember to congratulate Charles on his hiring of curators. Tell me, Miss Harris, have you always wanted to be a curator? I lower my voice to a whisper and lean lightly into him so that we're shoulder to shoulder. Don't tell anyone, but it was Indy. He tilts his head to the side. Indy? Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. It gave me a love for history and art. I was kind of a tomboy growing up, and I envisaged myself as the female Indiana Jones, traveling to exotic archaeological sites around the world and unearthing long-lost treasures. So you wanted to become an archaeologist? He takes a sip of champagne. That was the teenage dream. And what happened to that dream? Is it still alive? Nope, it died a miserable death when I realized that I don't like the thought of all that dirt and dust. Plus, I have an intense aversion to snakes. Raucous laughter escapes his lungs, and everyone turns to stare at us. I put my hand on his forearm. Shh, you'll get me into trouble with Charles. I glance over Dylan's shoulder and lock eyes with Charles, who seems to be gawping at us as we chat. His eyes are squinting with a vague hint of disapproval. He's almost scowling, and his mouth is spread into a thin-lipped smile. I remain cool and composed and give him my own look of nonchalance by way of a defiant smile. Dylan's eyes narrow and he becomes resolute, his voice firm and final, letting me know this is no laughing matter. If Charles Hampton gives you any trouble, you let me know. And what? One word from you and he'll become as meek as a mouse? There's a mischievous little smile on his lips and a flicker of amusement in his eyes. Let's just say I like to have a little fun sometimes at the expense of others. I shake my head in mock disapproval, but I like the fact that he seems to have an almost playful, childish side to him. And despite the fact that I'm insanely attracted to him and his mere presence has me as giddy as a schoolgirl, I remind myself that this is not a date. I clear my throat, pretending not to be affected by his intoxicating scent or the heat from his body as he stands ever so close to me. I ignore the thudding of my heart. I suppress visions of me and him together naked, our bodies in perfect harmony. Despite my insane instant attraction to him, I do my best to remain professional. Are you an avid collector? Have you purchased anything this evening, or are you just here for the free champagne? Holding his half-full flute of champagne by its stem, he raises the glass to eye level, studying the liquid's golden tones as he gently swirls it. Trust me, Charles is skimping. This isn't the expensive stuff that it says on the bottle. I mimic his actions and hold my own glass up, watching the bubbles float around the glass. How can you tell? It's the bubbles. Too big. I shrug my shoulders and take a sip. It tastes okay to me. Perhaps you need to ask your boyfriend to introduce you to some of the finer things in life. I'm eyeing him up as he speaks, wondering what it would be like to date a guy like him. I'm wondering what sex with a guy like him would be like. His confidence leads me to believe I'd have the best night of my life. Alas, I doubt there's a shortage of women for him to hook up with. I suspect he has them queuing around the block. I admit to the facts. I don't have a boyfriend. Could a man like him be boyfriend material? A satisfied light fills his eyes, and there's a quirk of a brow. Interesting. Is your girlfriend here? The corners of his lips curl into a light smile. I don't have a girlfriend. I already checked out his wedding finger, but that doesn't mean anything in today's day and age. What about your wife? He doesn't answer immediately. His eyes openly rove my body approvingly, slowing when he gets to my breasts, which are highlighted in this dress since it clings to every part of me, and admiring them appreciatively. His voice is purposefully low and seductive as he inches even closer. Lucky for me, I don't have a wife. An overwhelming feeling of warmth spreads across my chest. Interesting. What I find interesting, Miss Harris, is that someone as beautiful and as intelligent as you can be single. Perhaps that's because I haven't met my perfect man, yet. I'm not sure if it's the fact that my eyes hold his as I say it, or perhaps it's a private message of hopefulness that my eyes are sending him, but I berate myself. I've overstepped. I've gone too far. I've been too obvious. I try my damnedest not to let the disappointment of his words show in my demeanor. He places his half-empty glass on the tray of a passing server, then glances at his expensive watch. I'm afraid I have to leave. But what he does next sends a spark of excitement through my body, unleashing all kinds of sensations that I've never felt before. I'm riveted to the spot as he leans in. My heart is thudding. My senses have come alive as a spark of electricity shoots through me when his moist lips place a soft kiss on my cheek. Maybe it's my hormones or the neurotransmitters in my brain. Yep, that's a thing. But when his warm breath whispers in my ear, blood surges from my fingertips to my toes, and a tingling pulsation begins between my legs. Good God, I can only imagine what would become of me if I did have sex with him. It's been a pleasure to meet you, Mia Harris, curator extraordinaire. I'm tongue-tied, too surprised to say anything. As I watch him leave, a tinge of disappointment creeps in as each fluid stride takes him farther away from me. I place the palm of my hand on my cheek as if to memorialize the kiss for posterity, but I'm filled with a strange inner excitement. There is a fluttering in my stomach like a rush of butterflies. It's then that I realize I'm unable to deny it. It has finally happened to me. I've had my moment. Could he be the one? Only when he's out of sight and I feel a sense of loss do I realize I'll never know.